is, all right, we're doing it. Okay. And we have, it's 12:56. So we hope you guys are doing well. So it's great that, thanks. Hi, Frank. Hi, Tyson. Hi, Stephanie. Is that Jeffrey? So what you guys can do is send us questions in the chat box as we're talking, and whoever's not talking will read the questions, because we want to make sure we're thinking this is going to be about 40 minutes, and we're going to jam pack it with information. So while we're waiting for the few minutes left to start, we would love to hear from you guys. Who has tried Facebook prospecting, and is it working? So send us that in your chats. You're chatting. How do we scroll down and see what we're getting lots of comments. This is great.
Just saying if you have been Facebook prospecting.
Okay, great. I see it'll scroll down. So can you guys see Brett?
Hello, everybody.
Chris, me.
Stephanie, can you see Brett?
She's
yes, I can see Brett too. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. All right. So happy Pi Day. So there's a lot of things. You could be pie, like math, which is not my thing. You could do pizza pie.
Yes.
You could do key lime pie.
Yes, Pi Day.
Pi Day.
I prefer pizza.
So I did a deal with Blaze Pizza. I think they opened a couple years ago in South Florida. And when I'm driving by my shopping center and I see like 100 people standing out line, what's going on at Blaze Pizza? It was Pi Day. Pizza pie. They were giving away free pizzas. I'm not in South Florida. I'm in New York.
Yes.
Love this guy. I hope you guys know this guy.
If you've been on LinkedIn, you've probably seen me. I post a lot on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I was in, guess what?
What?
I canvassed this morning in Manhattan.
Oh my God.
That was the first.
How was it?
I've canvassed with you guys here in what do you call this? This isn't the boroughs. Is this
New York,
borough?
Westchester.
Okay, so we've canvassed.
Yeah.
I've canvassed with your team, but never in New York City, like the city. I posted some Facebook. The guys, I was with the guys from the shopping center group, Seth and Ian, and they took me to this place called Chacha Matcha.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Right. So Chacha Matcha, lines out the door, and they said it's like green tea. Brett, do you know Chacha Matcha?
I do not.
Have you heard of Chacha? So they bring me and they go, it's really awesome. And I'm like, well, what is it?
So we're getting some comments.
Okay, well, let me finish my story.
Go.
So Chacha Matcha, and they're like, maybe they'll come to South Florida. I go, well, so I should try it, right? And I go in and I was going to buy a Chacha Matcha. And I said, well, what does it taste like? And Seth says, dirt. I'm like, well, why do I want to buy a cup of dirt?
You're drinking for performance, not for taste. That's why.
We walked out. We didn't buy any Chacha Matcha. So we've got 1 minute. We already have a question. I sent my first Facebook message last week while canvassing and heard back within 24 hours. Right, Stephanie, it works. Okay, so we got 1 minute, and then we're going to...
Then go
live.
live.
Am I introducing you and you're introducing me? Or we introduce ourselves?
We'll introduce ourselves.
Okay. Are you worried about what I might say about you?
A little bit.
Oh. Following your steps. They're all doing it. What's LinkedIn? Yeah, nice. Daniel. LinkedIn is great. I find LinkedIn is good for the nationals. But, I'm on a mission with Mom and Pop. See, it's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock.
Okay, welcome everyone to our Facebook prospecting webinar. I'm Beth Azor. I'm from South Florida. Today I'm in New York with my friend
Chris Ressa. I live in New Jersey, work in New York. I oversee the leasing department at DLC. You'll also see Brett Nesbitt on the screen. Brett's one of the leasing reps at DLC in our Atlanta office.
So we want to talk to you guys about Facebook prospecting because we did a roundtable at the OAC, and many of you, we were kind of posting it on social media, and a bunch of you were like, tell me more about this. I can't make it to the OAC. And I said, no problem. I didn't even ask Chris. We'll do a webinar. I'll be in New York in Chris's office, and we'll just do a webinar.
Yeah.
So surprise.
So here we are.
So Facebook prospecting is phenomenal. It is where you can go on your personal Facebook page. We have a split screen where I'm going to bring up my Facebook page. It's what we found is it's another way to prospect. So this morning in Manhattan I was canvassing, and we walked into a space and we left a flyer, and then when we walked out we Facebooked the owner of the business, because what we're finding is owners of the businesses, the mom and pop retailers, or multi-locational, 10 units or less, maybe more, the owners of the businesses are monitoring their Facebooks directly, their Facebook pages, so we bypass the gatekeeper. So what's great is you canvas, you leave a flyer, and then you leave and immediately send a Facebook message, which we're going to show you how that works, and you get 2 touches within 5 minutes. So
yeah, myself and the team at DLC, we're always trying to find new ways to increase revenue, to make more deals, to try to get new leads. And we have, we do just like everybody else. We're cold calling, we're physically canvassing, we're using relationships, the broker networks, and over time, e-blast, direct mailers, over time you get...
No more e-blasts!
Over time you get lost in the clutter, and it's, it takes a long time to connect with the right person and get to the transaction. So we're always trying new ways to reach people. And over the last year or so, we've been pretty digitally focused, and with the rise in social media and seeing what other industries are doing with social, seeing if it could translate into our business. And Beth and I and our teams have found that it's translating in a big way.
Huge. So let's real quick show you how this works for those of you that have never done it. So Chris, my IT guy, we're going to pull up. So we're
going to share screen here.
With us. Okay, so basically what I do is I identify a use that I want to fit in one of my vacant spaces. So I've identified, let's say, patio. So I go to, how do you scroll up and see the top of that? So I make a list of, let's say, 10 patio stores that I find, whether it's in Yelp, Best of, Reader's Choice, for a specific market. So for example, this morning we were in Chelsea, and we went to, we did something different. We went to Chelsea Instagram and found out new tenants that were in the Chelsea area. So here, let's say it's Davie, Florida, or South Florida, patio stores. This tenant, Jerry's Patio, comes up, and so this is, can I just go back here? Okay, so this is their Facebook page. I click on that. And then you go to message. You see this blue box, which sometimes when you're doing this, and Brett will talk about this, the blue box doesn't come up. So what I do when the blue box doesn't come up, I just move on to the next guy on my list. But if the blue box comes up, you click on that, and then you send a message. And literally, and you can see I don't even capitalize I was an English major, so grammatically that looks terrible. But I just write very quickly, hey, I own shopping centers. Are you interested in expanding? So you can go back, and then Facebook rewards the Facebook retailers, right, or Facebook people, to reward fast. So if you send a message and they respond quickly, which I think some of you have told me that that's happening, like Stephanie said she heard back from someone that she Facebooked within 24 hours. So Facebook responds and puts them higher on the algorithms if they're very responsive to their customers and they see us as a customer. So 2 things. 1, you're getting past the gatekeeper, and 2, you're getting a fast response. I'm getting 30% response. So if I do 10 a day, maybe 3 times a week, I'm getting 3 responses, and of those 3, I'm usually getting about 1 of the 3 that says, send me a flyer, or I want to see space.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things going on Facebook, but there's essentially 3 forms of sales and marketing going on through the social media platform. You have direct messaging, which is what Beth just did, so DMing. You have organic content marketing. If anyone follows on LinkedIn, that's the primary pillar of my strategy. And then on all the platforms, you have paid, which is if you're like my wife and loves Restoration Hardware or Pottery Barn, when she logs into Facebook, there's an ad from Restoration Hardware that shows up, and that's because Restoration Hardware paid to show up on my wife's newsfeed. And so what happens, the direct messaging works because there's very few people doing it, and you're getting past the gatekeeper, as everyone said.
So can we have Brett talk?
Yeah, Brett.
Brett, so share with the audience. So how long have you been in leasing?
So I've been in leasing for about a year and a half. Started with DLC in late October. Since then, I've been quite the road warrior in terms of prospecting. I'm gone most of the time, and just to kind of give a quick overview about what I've been doing and how I think Facebook helps is I started out. You go up there, you knock on their doors, you give out the flyers. When I come back, I'll send them a personalized letter. I'll give them a follow-up phone call, and then we'll send an e-blast. So we've already hit, we've already trying 4 different ways to get in contact there. And then now I'm including, and incorporating the Facebook messages. And since then, I can't speak enough about how much I've really come to like it, because not only is your response rate so much higher, but you're skipping the gatekeeper for the most part, especially, with the local businesses. And so you're getting more meaningful contact right off of the bat, and it's really not that time consuming.
So are you
I would
finding...
say I'm looking at...
Go ahead. Sorry. So Jeff
I'm looking
asked a question. Are you seeing the limit of the Facebook like I am? Like I'm getting 10, after 10 to 12, it's weird. Some days I can do 18, but then you'll get this message, that message did not go through. That's Facebook saying you're done. What are you averaging?
Yeah, I'm pretty much sticking to the 10 right now. I hit that message once, and I've just been pretty much avoiding getting my account flagged for future use or anything like that. So I've been pretty much sticking to the 10. I know that you guys have talked about the difference between the personal and the business, and I'll let you get into all of that.
Jeffrey, to answer your question, Facebook, what it does is it's checking to see if people are spamming, and the algorithm knows if you're spamming or not, or direct selling through the DMs, because they're a business and it's pay to play. And so we limit to a certain amount of direct messages, the team, so that they continue to not get blocked. But if you want to go to that scale and reach hundreds of people, it's pay to play. You have to pay to drop an ad on a news feed. No different than a print ad. However, if you look at any of the social media gurus, people today are saying it's extremely underpriced compared to any other forms of advertising. And so, in my opinion, you need to do both. You need to be direct messaging people as well as paying to play.
So, okay.
And so the one thing that is key to that is with your direct messaging, we found that the best place and the best business practice is to do that from your personal account, and you can't do paid from your personal account. You need to have Facebook Business Manager, and you need to have a business account to post the ads to reach your audience.
And so we'll need to have a follow-up webinar, because 2 weeks ago I did my first Facebook paid ad. The reason it took me 3 weeks to set up the ad was I needed a privacy policy on my website, and I didn't have that. And I had to hire an attorney, and so that took me 2 or 3 weeks. So some of you from larger firms, you will already have that. So I set up the privacy policy on the website, and we launched the ad 2 weeks ago, and it was for a shopping center I have in South Florida called Sawgrass Commons. And what I did is I identified 29 zip codes all around Sunrise, Florida, those of you that know South Florida, and then I picked 32 uses. I would be happy, we're thrilled with having businesses in my shopping center. I have, I think, 5 vacancies. So I focused on carpet, kitchen, media rooms, and then I have a second-gen restaurant, so sub shops, sushi. So, and what we did is I had a budget of $2,500. I hired a firm that knows how to do this and look at the stats. I hired them. That cost $250. And 2 weeks into it, We had 9 or 10 leads. I don't think any were qualified. So what we did was changed up the ad. So we took another picture. I changed the copy in the ad. That just, I think, went out on Friday. So we'll have another week to test that. And probably the last week, I'm going to do a video. I'm going to walk through a vacancy and see how that works. So stay tuned, and I'll probably post stuff on Facebook and LinkedIn about how this works for the landlord leasing space part of it on the paid ad thing. But definitely it's from my business page. But yeah, we have a couple of questions. So
Tyson, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question before. Because of the personal touch, just the traditional sales, we find that when you're direct messaging, that should definitely come from the personal page. That's our experience. But if you want to post ads, you need a business account. And you probably need both to have a long-term scale canvassing method through social selling method through Facebook.
Greg, thanks for joining us. I thought you were going to be on a flight. By the way, Greg, surprise and delight. Look in your mail in the next few days. So, Marley, has anyone used this strategy work strictly when focusing on finding new tenant rep relationships? I haven't yet, but my partner, John Brewer, with Azor Brewer Restaurant Advisors, we're going to start doing that. I think he's doing it organically with my intern, Kara, but we're also going to run some paid ads towards restaurants 10 units or less. So I'll keep you guys posted on how we do with that.
So who does the targeting on Facebook is a question.
Hey, Mitch.
So that's a good question. First, I think you start with the budget, and Facebook allows you to choose a budget range that you want to spend, which is really helpful and gives you an indication of how many people you're going to reach. But the algorithm is super targeted. It can do so much, and navigating the page is quite cumbersome, and you're probably going to need some help to really reach the specific users that you want, but you can drill down really, 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 really deep and land on the people that you want. One of the guys, Gary Vaynerchuk, who's big in our business, talks about, reaching nationals or big business through it and posting an ad that, that targets against the employees of a company and says something like, does your buyer know this? Does your real estate director know this? And put an ad out that reaches only the 10 C-suite people on Facebook for some specific company in it. It's an ad of a shopping center opening or vacancy. You can do it broad scale and take the 50 pizza restaurants in a certain zip code and target them. So to get to that is challenging, and you need to be social savvy, but you can do it.
And so I feel that I'm social savvy in the industry, but I feel like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 1.5. I mean, we haven't even begun to, figure out what all these platforms are about, which is why I hired the person. How I found her is I did a training with a company in the Northeast. She was the marketing director. She left to go work for a marketing agency to focus on social and really focus on Facebook advertising. And I saw an ad that she put on Facebook saying, hey, here I am. I've been learning all about Facebook advertising in the last 6 months. So I called her, hired her. And so what happened was I said, okay, here's the 10 zip codes around my shopping center, and here are the uses that I want to target. She came back to me and said the reach wasn't enough, that we needed more, we needed in the more. So that's when I added the zip codes, and I added a bunch more uses. So again, this is a paid ad. I said, here are 29 zip codes all in South Florida, and here's the 32 business uses that I would like to lease to. And I think it went out to 60,000 people. Again, the first 2 weeks, 9 responses. I didn't feel that any were qualified, so we changed up the ad. So I think video will be next, and I'll see.
I think, Greg, that's a great point. I think Facebook groups are phenomenal. I think creating your own group and engaging people is a great long-term way to build trust and develop relationships with people. getting into groups. There's already a ton of groups, so before you create a group, make sure it's not created. Targeting that specific group is killer. Finding out who has that interest of whatever that group is and reaching out to them is dynamite stuff and has real strong long tail effects for your business.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of my friends, and you can answer the next question from Ronaldo if you want to read that, because you're more into that than me. But thanks, Greg. Mike Mogerman from Woolbright, who lives in South Florida, he was assigned a project in Southwest Florida. So he created a Facebook group for Southwest Florida, and he would post things on there like, you know, the new pizza guy opening, or, you know, I've got this vacancy, and he became the Southwest Florida real estate guy, and a lot of local mom and pops or regional franchises watched and joined those groups. So absolutely, I think groups, especially in smaller towns, you know, Brett, you said you travel a lot, right? Do you go to some smaller towns?
Yes. There's one down in Florida, just outside of Jacksonville, Fernandina Beach, Florida. That's a pretty small one down there.
So have you thought about creating a Fernandino Beach Facebook page or seeing if there is one?
Yeah, I'm in the process of doing it. I actually think I chose the wrong platform at first. I made one in LinkedIn trying to reach out to some people, but switching it up to Facebook because, as you guys have been saying, that's definitely the bigger mom and pop target pool. So working on it, but I've had some good responses from mom and pops down there so far.
Also, one more thing before you jump into this question is, has anyone used Nextdoor? So I was at a social media conference yesterday, and actually Nextdoor was on their list of social platforms, which is very neighborhood specific. And I'm sure you guys have all seen it. It's like, you know, who can I hire for a plumber in my neighborhood? Or where's the best pizza place? And I think engaging with those, responding to those requests and not selling and becoming, you know, a resource in those towns like Fernandino Beach or Davie, Florida, it will help also maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I think Arnaldo, and to Beth's point, there are a ton of different platforms out there. We focus on Facebook because if you have a customer, they are on Facebook. There's, you know, about 2.1 billion users on Facebook, but Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, Twitter, they all have different audience. They all have different types of usage. So understanding your customer and who the audience is the key. Beth mentioned I focus a lot on LinkedIn. And Arnaldo, you asked the question, would I recommend using LinkedIn? The answer to that is, you know, potentially. I would tell you, though, that there are a lot of heads of real estate who have Facebook accounts. There are a lot of people who have Facebook accounts. So I wouldn't discount Facebook. It's their personal page, but I wouldn't discount that they're on Facebook. There are also clearly a lot of people are on LinkedIn, and I think that LinkedIn is a good place to find them. LinkedIn's definitely branded itself as more of a relationship and networking. They do have a new product, not so new, but relatively recent, Sales Navigator. That's their paid platform that you can go through to target leads. But I have had success with just messaging people on LinkedIn and reaching them to get out of the email clutter. I'm focused on content marketing on LinkedIn. If you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm focusing on content marketing, which is getting people to reach out to me versus reaching out to them. So I'm posting I have a consistent cadence of content that I'm posting, and no different than a TV ad. Like if Tide Dry Cleaners were to post an ad, they're not direct selling to anybody. They are posting, you know, an ad and hoping you go to them. And that's what I'm doing on LinkedIn right now from a content marketing standpoint.
So a couple comments. Thank you guys so much. First of all, Mitch said he can't hear us. We are recording this, and we will be reposting this. so hopefully the rest of you aren't having a hard time hearing us. Frank says he's having great results in Instagram. Awesome. I would love to hear more. Literally today was the first time I used it in Manhattan, of all places. Debbie says, what are some Facebook messages? So I shared one earlier. Brett, what's the message that you put in the DM when you do a Facebook?
Well, right now I've been primarily focusing on kind of follow-ups of people I've already touched. So I go a little bit lengthier than perhaps the one that you just showed us. I'll say, hey, I stopped by. Of course, if I know their name, that. And then tell them, hey, I was really impressed with your store, and kind of give them maybe a brief idea of what's going on at the center. And then, follow it up with, we would really love to have you guys over here. Let me know if we can talk about this further, type thing.
And then, Debbie, if you missed it, what I did is I showed a screenshot, and basically what I do is, hey, I own shopping centers, or hi, I own shopping centers, are you looking for an additional location? I do it very short and sweet and to the point. What we talked about earlier is our inboxes for email, 300-400 a day. When the owner of that business, that mom and pop business, opens their Facebook page and there's that little round circle in the top right and it says 1, that's a lot less pressure for them to open that and respond, and they do it.
Yeah.
And they respond, and I'm a big believer that when you open your first store, you always wanted to open more.
Yeah.
It was the American dream. So we're not selling anything they're not interested or they don't want. So usually what my response is, out of the 10 I send, 3, and Brett's getting the same results. How many leasing agents do you have?
Approximately 15.
And they're all using it?
Yes, in different capacities, yes.
And are they all getting about a 30%?
Yeah.
Yeah. The guys I was with this morning from the shopping center group, 2 guys, they work Manhattan. They came to my workshop last month. They had never used Facebook. They're using it. They're getting the same results. 30% open, and then it ranges maybe, 1 out of the 3 a couple times a week will say, send me a flyer or, show space. I want to see space.
So someone mentioned Instagram. There was a recent article by a guy, Jay Bear. You can follow him. He's a digital strategist. And it talked about Edison, which is one of the measuring systems that measures analytics on social platforms. He posted an article in reference to that where the increase in photo and the viewership on photo is huge on social right now. So I would suspect one of the reasons you're having a lot of success with Instagram is the move to photo, and in due time video is going to be dominating social platforms. Video is going to get to in the 80% of all the traffic on social media websites. So
except for what we just learned. We just learned that on LinkedIn, text has 10 times reach.
Right now, text has 10 times more reach on LinkedIn than video or photo. So
guess what he's doing?
A lot of my messaging on LinkedIn is text-driven. Right? There's multiple ways to reach your audience. It's audio, video, text, and photo. I think you need to do all of them. But on LinkedIn specifically, text has more reach. But I wouldn't get hung up on that because they change the algorithms all the time, and that could change tomorrow. It's more about your branding, your strategy, and consistency than, making sure you're following the algorithm, because it's going to change all too often.
I know Debbie's on, for Ashlyn from Tallahassee. What I've been noticing that you are posting a lot of when you do leases. Hey, I've got this new ice cream guy opening, or I just signed a lease. And I'm curious to know from you, if you could send us a response in the message. Are you getting any traffic from other retailers that are seeing that on Facebook and getting leads from that? So I'm curious about that. What I find, what you mentioned earlier about heads of real estate on Facebook. So and people say, oh, I don't want to be creepy and stalky. Yeah. So I don't reach out to people I don't know, like the head of real estate for, let's say, Guitar Center. I don't reach out to him on Facebook. I'll reach out to him on LinkedIn, but not on Facebook. But when retailers reach out to me on Facebook, I for sure accept them as a friend. And then I learned so much about them like I'll learn that, one guy's a foodie or the other guy's daughter, won a soccer game. And then when we run into them in Vegas, instead of the very popular overused 2 questions that we ask everyone when we see each other in Vegas, unless you're very close friends, is when did you get in and where are you staying? Watch. This year in May, those are the first 2 questions you ask anyone that you're not close with, right? If you're close with them, you say, hey, how's Victoria and the baby? And Facebook is networking on steroids. So when you are a friend with someone on Facebook, you know more about them, and when you run into them at a conference, it's a deeper relationship, and it's not stalky at all, and get over that. So
JJ, good to
Hey, JJ.
see you. So we'll have to take that offline. The answer is yes to using it, and yes to working with other groups. I don't know exactly what you mean about the initial results, broad reach or worrisome, but we'll take that offline. You can give me a call. You know my number, so.
Yeah, and again, this is, so I think your question is, how many people are using Facebook ads, paid ads? Well, first of all, I'm not sure how many people are using Facebook prospecting, which is why we've been pushing this message, because we think the success is unbelievable. I mean, when have you sent an email blast, which all of the retailers hate, and got a 30% open rate? So we're on a mission, and people are like, don't tell everyone. We all should fill our vacancies, because then our rents will go up, right? So there's no secret. So let's all share. So I don't think people are doing the free DMing, let alone, I think I'm the only, have you done any paid prospecting ads?
Not yet.
I think I'm the only one I know that's done a paid ad on Facebook for prospecting, and I'm only 3 weeks in. But if any of you all know of anyone else that has done it, I would love to learn from them.
So I take it back. We've done some paid prospecting ads, and then we cut it back to develop a real strategy around what we were doing, so that we make sure we're honing in.
I'll tell you, yesterday at this social media thing, I asked them about boosting, and they said it's waste of money.
Yep.
And I've been doing a lot of that, because you know why? It's friggin' easy.
Yep.
I put out a post, and then it says, do you want to boost for $3? And I push that. They say it's the biggest waste of money ever. So, JJ, also, we know each other. I will do a follow-up. I'm going to figure this out, and then I'll keep you guys posted. But I've got a shopping center that, I was 96% leased, getting ready to sell it. VisionWorks, Sears, and Bike America moves out. I'm 68% leased. So that's the one I'm running the Facebook ads on. So I will be using it as a case study, not only trying to lease it, but, Facebook ads and regular prospecting. So I'll keep you guys posted for sure. I hope did we answer your question? I used a third party with this woman that I talked about, because there's only so much time in the day, and trying to go learn deep dive on algorithms, it's just not, I can't do that. Yep.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay, so it's 1:29. Did we cover everything? Brett, anything you want to add to our audience about, so you cold call, you prospect, you do email blasts, which I don't know why you still do email blasts.
It's not an email blast. It's email. It's direct emails to the person.
Okay. No email blasts, right, Brett? No more email blasts.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you do Facebook prospecting, so you do it all.
Yes, I have been doing it all.
What gets the best results?
Definitely Facebook. Definitely, interested in where things are going to go when we do get into the Facebook ads and the business accounts and things like that. Because if I could do more than the 10 a day, I absolutely would. I think that it's more effective to use that than, I think it's more effective to send 50 Facebook messages than 50 phone calls to these tenants personally. So I like kind of where it's going, and I like my responses. So my response rate so far.
So people always say to me, do cold calling work? And I always say, I don't think it works with mom and pops. And then for many of you know Hugh Chen, Hugh Chen. So Hugh Chen we went out to lunch with my intern, and my intern Kara was asking him about cold calling. And he said, so here's my trick. So hopefully I'm not going to get in trouble with Hugh giving away his trick. But sorry, Hugh. So he, I just love it. He says, so he's calling, Joe's Dry Cleaning. And he, got Joe's Dry Cleaning and a phone number. And the person answers, Joe's Dry Cleaning. And he goes, hi, is this Joe's Dry Cleaning? And they go, yes, this is Joe's Dry Cleaning.
Sure.
He goes, I have a shopping center, and I'm wondering if you want to open a dry cleaning store.
Yep.
And he says that his response rate from them on the cold call goes up, significant percentage, because they know they think that when you say, is this Joe's Dry Cleaning, that you're not some spammer. You're not sitting, in the olden days where the white pages or yellow pages sitting at a desk just cold calling like a call center type of thing. My intern, Kara, tried it, and she said, absolutely, it worked.
So I would tell you this. We do a lot of cold calling here, and we have success with cold calling. I think there's a definite skill to cold calling. Brett and I had an hour call this morning at 8 o'clock about cold calling strategies and what works and doesn't to get through the gatekeeper. So we've had success. Brett's made tons of cold calls, as well as follow-up calls from after we've canvassed or Facebook to connect with people. And we've had success. Physical canvassing is great, but you can get scale with cold calling, especially if you're out of region or out of the market. So we do it and have a lot of success. And you're cold calling nationals, right? You're not just showing up to Nordstrom Rack store. You have to give them a call on the phone. So I think it's an important skill that you need to be successful.
I agree. Cold calling nationals for sure. Debbie, I asked Debbie, has she gotten any feedback from her Facebook posts when she signs a new lease or opens a new mom and pop in her center? And her response was no, but she has gotten response on LinkedIn. So we should all try that. That would be great. And Julie said she's done a Facebook ad. So definitely, Julie, we need to share information on that. So I promised you guys it would be less than 40 minutes. Unless there's any other questions, do you have anything to add?
No. Greg just mentioned that his best leads have come from Instagram and Facebook DMs. Totally agree. Facebook owns Instagram, so those platforms are symbiotic for sure.
I'm going to start doing some more Facebook, like touring of spaces, and see. That's going to be that third week of the ad. I think that might have some traction. So I'm going to try that. Debbie, maybe I challenge you to do a Facebook post, or maybe just organically on a tour of a vacancy you have, maybe something that's got some infrastructure, and see if you get any feedback. Okay? I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Thanks, Brett.
It's fun being in New York.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for sharing and asking questions.